Hi, it's Janine Vosper here, and welcome to those that are online tonight. It's great to see so many people here. We've got quite a few more that are registered. I had a little glitch at about 5 minutes to 7 with getting on to GoToWebinar, so I thank you for your patience. A couple of minutes late starting, and I'm just waiting for a couple more people to come on. Have a fantastic day. I'm not sure where everyone is based, but there's so much stuff happening at the moment. There's so many things, so many different webinars and so many different training sessions and Zoom meetings. So I do appreciate your time on here tonight, and thank you for being here. And good, I've got a few more people just coming on now, and we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. So again, yes, thank you for being on. I know what it's like. I'm like that myself, doing so many Zoom meetings and doing training online as well, which is quite a different way of doing things. And I'm used to standing in front of an audience and standing in front of the classroom to get online. So it's quite a different experience. I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me and they can see the screen. And so you've got little hands there. If you can pop your hands up if you can hear me, first of all, and then if you can see the screen. Good, excellent. I've got some hands up, thank you, and see the screen as well. Fantastic. It's great. And it's great to see some people on there that I know well, and a whole lot of names that people haven't met before. So welcome and thank you for joining me. What I'm going to do is run through some things that I've learnt over the years. I've been working in sales and sales coaching for about, at least 40 years, and coaching high performing sales teams for quite a long period of that as well. So I want to run over some things that I have found that works all the time. And during this particular time, I've sort of been pulled back myself, thinking, I'm not sure about sales and selling to people if they're having a bit of a struggle. But then I realized I've had people coming to me to buy things that people still need my product, and which was really important to recognize that as well. So it happens to all of us. And we've got a couple more people coming on still, and we'll just get started. Okay, so again, if you haven't met me, my name is Janine Vosper. You'll learn a little bit more about me. So I'm going to run through these top 5 techniques, but I just want to make sure that if you can relate to any of these points at all. So have you ever been left doubting yourself why you missed out on something that you thought was a sure sale? I know I have, over the years before I understood how to close well, that things that you went, oh, I don't understand what happened there. I really thought that they were going to buy. If you're in some form of multi-level marketing, you may feel that you've been thrown in the deep end a little bit, and the people that have got you involved, you've got involved because you love the product, but the people who've got you involved really don't have a lot of sales experience and can't share the sales training, or don't quite understand your situation. And you've seen all your family and friends, and you don't know where to go next with your business, and that can be a bit of a struggle as well. You're sick and tired of giving too much away, and then that people don't buy anything. I come across this all the time when I'm particularly working with women in their own business. They have a lot of expertise and they're very, very generous. I mean, it's part of who we are as women, and we're nurturers and we're very generous, and we tend to give things away. And then we're disappointed when the person doesn't buy from us. And it's even more disappointing when the person buys from somebody else as well. And finally, that sense of that you're feeling icky, or you're feeling like a bit of a shark when you're selling. And that's the thing, is we don't want to feel like we're selling. We want to feel like people are coming to us to buy things from us instead. So if you can relate to any of those at all, well, then you're definitely in the right place. And I will run through some of the points as well. And you do have a little question, a little chat box down the bottom. And what I've done with this particular, or this form of webinar before, I've just sort of run through, and then I get to points, and if I see that there's some things in the chat, because it's pretty hard for me to watch the chat and go through the slides and talk and everything. So I'll stop every so often and look at the chat. And if there's anything in there, definitely we'll take questions at the end as well. So if you've got any questions at all, then please make sure that you do write them down and ask me at the end. And also, if you can relate to any of those particular points at all, just put a yes in the chat box. That way I know that everyone can use it and everyone's got it happening in front of them. So if you can just pop that in there, you'll see the little chat down the bottom and say yes, 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 yes. And then I know that everyone's here, and yes or no, depending on who you are. Okay, good. Thank you. 50% of people give up in sales or in their own business within the first year. Now that is a terrifying statistic, isn't it? That people, and it's all about sales. This is the thing is, if we don't make sales, we don't have a business. And it's one of the things that is the most uncomfortable feeling for people is being in sales. And we hide away often doing other work and creating great spreadsheets and getting good at our product, but not necessarily good at selling. So if you're feeling uncomfortable about it, definitely not alone. And this is a really sad statistic that I've come across recently, and it's getting higher and getting worse. That 1 in 7 women will be homeless by retirement, not necessarily living on the streets, but they will be living maybe in somebody's room. And I know of some people that are doing that already because they don't have the income and the resources. And that's the thing about either working for somebody else in a sales position or being in your own business in sales. We want to make sure that we are successful and we do things well. So I told you I'd tell you a little bit about me, and I've been in sales since I was about 15, starting off just a checkout chick. And the thing with that is you get to build great relationships, as I did as an aerobic instructor. Probably the hardest sell that I ever had was getting people to put their gym shoes on. And then worked in this area as a sales rep in an area that was totally underperforming, and then moved into role as a GM of sales, and now a business owner today. And I get to share this information with people, which is really cool because it's my way of giving back and enjoying what I do. All right, so part of me is when I was working in retail, I had week after week after week, I had the highest selling week, the highest sales records in that particular business. And it's not, that was very much to do with, I had regular customers coming back and asking for me all the time, which was great. When I taught aerobics, I had the most people ever in a class. And again, it was to do with relationship building. And this is the thing about sales. It's about relationships. And it's about, and especially now, this is going to be going forward from when we get back to, I'm going to say back to better, and I will probably say that throughout rather than back to normal. When we get back to better, it's all going to be about the relationships that you're creating now and that you're following up on. And I used to sell gym wear at the same time as Lorna Jane started out, and I used to buy it off a wholesaler, a family business that made their own, and beautiful leotards, all the G-string era, if anyone remembers that time in their lives. And I used to lay it out, and I'd sell $1,000 worth of gear every night that I'd go to a particular gym, and some gyms it was up to 2,000. This is back in the 80s. So, that was a lot of gym gear a night. And it was those same people coming back time and time again. As I said, when I was working as a rep, I started in a territory that was really underperforming and increased sales by over 800%. And they were doing around $3,000 a month in sales, which was ridiculous. And I ended up doing about $400,000 a year in sales in that same territory. So it was a big, big increase. And also I moved into the GM role, the same company, and managed to get a lot of the big players on board and using the same stuff I want to chat about now. Okay. Now, I just wanted to show you this so that I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing it for a long time. I know what works, and I want to share that with you now. Part of what is important to me in selling and being successful is what I do with my time and my resources. And my favorite thing to do is to travel. I'm managing to travel from my home to the local nature walks at the moment. That's about as far as we're going, and doing my daily walks. But it's a yeah, it's quite a different world. But when we get back to it, this is going to be when I, you know, get back to doing what I love to do. And this is an important part when I run my sales training, is to find out your why. If you need a big why to be able to, to be able to make the most of and put the most effort in, because it just depends on what you're working towards. And mine was creating memories and experiences, and that's the fun part. So in my business, I have written a couple of books. One of them is called Good Girls Do Sell, and I've also had the opportunity to contribute to Koshi's Business Builders on sales as well, and just bringing different ideas to the market. So that is me. I think I've worked. I'll highlight a couple of people as we go along, of different people I've worked with, because I can say, what I say about myself, but then there's people that I've worked with that have had amazing success. And Wendy in particular had her own print business, and she ended up selling. She hated sales, but she it went so successful with that. She sold a print business and moved in as a BDM, a business development manager for Printing Brisbane, and took sales from zero to, really high dollars because of the sales. And she was terrified all the way through. And these lovely, lovely ladies that I worked with, they were so keen to get to Vegas and get the results from there. They were in Surreal multi-level marketing business. And they came to me, and we were able to triple. They'd been doing what they've been doing for a few years, and they were able to triple that business and get to Vegas and get all the awards they want. And that was what they were after, was getting those awards. So it was really cool to be able to make a difference into people's lives and be able to help them achieve what they want and what their goals are. It's quite an amazing experience. I love it. So what we're going to do, these are the 5 steps. If you haven't got a pen and paper out, I suggest you get one, because I'm going to have a lot of tips as we work through this, and you will probably need to take notes, and I'll be doing a lot of speaking as well. So you just sort of grab onto what I say, if it isn't on the slides. So first one, we're going to talk about how you step out of your comfort zone and step into that personal power. With the online sales training program I have, these are the 2 most important steps. I can teach you how to close. I can teach you how to say the right words and stand out from the crowd, which is things that I'm going to be able to do, and express your expertise. But if you haven't understood the basics of how to overcome the negativity towards sales and selling, then you're not going to be able to do the other parts well anyway. So it is the most important factor. Learn how to attract, engage an audience, and how to kick some goals. And you'll see what that's all about in a moment. So the first step is stepping out. And by doing so, now I'm saying stepping out, and that usually means, people thinking about stepping out of your comfort zone. And I don't believe there is such a thing as a comfort zone. I prefer to call it a confinement of anxiety, and it's a place that we stay and everything else looks anxious around us if we make a move. It's not very comfortable at all. And when I do confidence training with people, we have a whole lot of techniques to help people get through that sense of, not wanting to step out. But here's a few points through this now. Then we're going to learn how to not listen to others. Just get over yourself and shift it to WIIFM. Do you know what that stands for? Can you pop it in the chat box or in the question area? I'm sure that some of the people will know what the WIIFM stands for. Okay, the first step is to not listen to others. Now, I am sure that there are people in your lives, and that particularly if you've gone into a multi-level marketing business, or a business on the side, we'll call it, that involves sales and selling, or even in your own business, you've stepped out of a job and into your own business, and you've got people around you that they're not necessarily intentionally being negative, but they're questioning what you're doing, how you're doing it, and have you made the right choices. And If you are following your passion, you're following something that you love to do, then the most important thing is just don't listen to others. They're not making the decisions for you for the rest of your life. It's you that chosen to do what you've been doing and to do what you want to do. So it just remove that from your life and avoid it. I think Dwayne Dyer's got this great quote. It says, "What other people think of me is none of your business." And it's, there's so much negativity that comes out in social media in particular, and we start to think it and we start to believe it, and it does affect our confidence level and our belief in ourselves. Great, thanks, Annie. Yeah, the what's in it for me, beautiful. We'll come up to that. So overcoming what other people think of you is very important, because most of the time other people aren't thinking of you, and that's important to know as well. I don't know about you, but if you have a think about it, how many times through the day do you think of other people? It's unusual, isn't it? We tend to be thinking of ourselves and how we can succeed in what we're doing, and most people aren't thinking of you anyway. But so it's not important. It's important how you think of yourself and that belief level that you have in yourself, particularly in sales. Can you imagine if Martin Luther King had, given show a friend of his speech, so I have a dream speech, and his friend sort of said, Martin, no, you're dreaming. You can't, little children, little white children, little black children, never going to hold hands. This is never going to achieve this. If he had that person in his ear saying that to him, and sometimes it's not an external person. Most of the time, it's that internal person that's telling you, you can't do this. And not listening to that voice, or having a different recording where you can say, yes, I can, is very important. So not listening to your internal voice and not listening to others as well. And that's how you can end up following your dreams, because your self-worth is not defined by your approval rating. This is a big step in that confidence building when it comes to sales, and you can see why this is such an underpinning point of getting comfortable with sales, is to believe in your self-worth, so that you know that you have got something high value to offer. And that's a really important place to sit, and I'll explain why in a moment. Get over yourself. And when I do this exercise in the live setting, in the one-day training course, we go through and figure out why people are uncomfortable with sales. And it's usually people say, I don't like to feel pushy. I don't know if anyone's got that. Put a yay in the thing, or put a hand up. I don't want to be annoying people. Does that relate to anybody? Pop a hand up. If I don't want to be, I get uncomfortable. Yeah, there's quite a few hands up. And if you notice within those statements that the one word that comes up all the time is I, because you're making it about you. And that's what's getting in your way, is your ego. Because, and it sounds wrong, and I know, and it's probably challenging for some, but it is your ego that's getting in the way, and we need to eliminate that completely. And thinking about what you're offering the person. If you are good at what you do, is anyone good at what they do that's online? If you are, pop your hand up. I imagine if I'm in a classroom situation, yeah, beautiful. I've got some big hands up there. Thank you. I'm in a classroom situation, or when I'm working live, that's one of the things. Everyone goes, I'm really good at what I do. And then, so why aren't you telling people? Why aren't you sharing that information? Why aren't you the person that's out there talking about your product or service? Because your ego is getting in the way, you're allowing people to make a bad decision and a bad purchase. So you switch it around and say, it's quite a selfish space to be in if you know you're good at something and you're not sharing that information, or people don't have the opportunity to buy from you because you haven't told them about it. I know it's a bit different than you'd normally be thinking, but it's if you have that thought in your head, I know I am been doing sales training, and I do professional speaking training and a whole lot of other different training. I know that when people work with me, it changes their lives. So I know that I share information. That's just what I do, because I know it makes a big difference, and I have people tell me that all the time. So that's, know it, believe it, know it. What you do, what your product is, what your service is, that you're going to make a difference in someone's lives, and then you'll be happy to talk about the sales part of it. All right, the other part of this is shift from the what's in it for me, and thank you for sharing that. There's a couple people on there, and it's the best radio station in town. Every salesperson will tell you that. So what's in it for me? Why do you go to the gym? Why do you exercise? For some of us, it's you want to feel really healthy and well. But truly, if you really look at it, you just want your clothes to fit a particular way, or you want to look good in the mirror. You know, it's not how far you can lift the weights. It's not how fast you can run, which are all good points as well, and that motivates us to go and do more. But when it comes down to it, it's not going to the gym that's what's in it for me. It's fitting into the clothes and looking good in it. So looking at your product, because what you sell is not what people buy. People don't necessarily buy, they buy what you're selling. So I sell sales training courses, I sell speaking courses, but what people buy from me is confidence, that belief in themselves to be able to go do it themselves. That's what people are buying off me. So what are they buying off you? Think about that. That's a really good question to ask yourself. What are people buying off me? Step 2. Any questions after step 1 at all? They're not coming up very well in this thing. I know there is a chat part as well as a question area. If you want to put some things in it as well, that would be fine. So if there's any questions there, I'm happy to answer those, or just pop your hand up and I can see. Okay, let's move on. Personal power is step number 2. Get clear about what you want. Set points. If you haven't come across anything with set points before, I'll explain that. And perception is projection. If you don't know what you want and where you're going, and you're not clear about it, you won't get there. It's as easy as that. It's like saying, you're going for a drive and not knowing where you're going, and, just driving forever without actually getting to a destination. You've got to be very clear about what you want to achieve in your business, and knowing something that where it's going to take you in the future is so important as well. I run a half-day planning course once a year in January, and this is so important. It's the most important thing you can do in your business every year is plan, is to figure out what you want. Plans have gone a little astray this year, but I'm sure that if those things are in the back of your mind, they're successfully coming through anyway. If you don't set goals, as I said, you don't know where you're going. And so 83% of people don't set goals, which means only 17% of people do. I found that statistic quite staggering, because if you don't have a goal, then how are you going to achieve what you're going to achieve? It just means you're just sort of wandering aimlessly, and then wondering why you're not getting the results that you want. And 14% of people have a plan, but they don't write it down. So they have an idea in their head what they want, but they don't write it down. And only 3% of the population have their goals written down, which if you're a goal writer, if you always write down your goals and you've got them all, knowing what you want to achieve, pop your hand up, and so I can just see who's doing that. And it's a few people. Not a lot. Yeah, no, it's not surprising. Only 3% of people do that. Yeah, cool. There's a couple more popping hands up. They did a Harvard study many, many years ago, and they found that the 14% of people who had a plan but didn't write them down were achieving 10% more income than the ones that hadn't set goals, and then the 3% were 10% higher than that again. Now that was a lot of extra income, prestige, better jobs, everything, because the people had written down goals. And that's a simple thing to do. And there's a formula, and you know how to write a formula to it. You can either write SMART goals or create goals, or but have a formula to what you're doing. And as I said, that's what thinking about. And I think now, if you've written goals for the beginning of the year, it's our year has changed. Everything is very, very different. So maybe it's time to rewrite your goals and see what you want to achieve and how you can achieve those goals now. There's lots of opportunities coming up through this, and lots of people have coming up with new ideas, and just being agile. I'm not going to use the word pivot, just being agile. Okay, personal power again is set points. There's this amazing book that I read called Happy for No Reason by Marcy Smirnoff, and it talked about our set points of happiness. So some people will just happy at always happy, and other people just are never happy, and then there's people in between. Or there's people who are happy who need a reason to be happy. I'll be happy when I lose 5 kilo. I'll be happy when I win $1 million. I'll be happy when I can get out of the house. All the things that putting another point out in front to say when they'll be happy. But they're just going to be at that same set point of happiness. And it's the same with money as well. I bet you have heard of, millionaires who have lost money, who've made it back quite easily again. Whereas people who haven't had a lot of money and they've won a lot of money, they lose it really quickly. And it's because there's a set point of finances that they have, which is really an interesting thing when you understand that. So when you're talking about how you feel about sales and selling and your life and everything, looking at where you sit within that set point, and then figuring out, because there are ways to adjust your set points, but figuring out where you are is probably the most important factor, and then learning the techniques to change those set points so that you are more comfortable stepping out of that confinement of anxiety and doing things that possibly challenge you a little bit. Perception is projection. When you're doing a lot of study, I've studied a lot around NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and we talk about perception as projection in that. So what you perceive within yourself, you will project out to the world. So I bet you've been to a networking event one night, and you've just been working hard. Sorry, I've gone to the next slide. No, I haven't. Let's go to the next slide. You've been working hard. You're tired, and there's a networking event that you should be at. And so you muster the energy, you go to the event, you don't have any good conversations, the speaker wasn't great, the people there weren't the right people, and everything goes wrong. Bet you've had those. If you've had any event like that, pop your hand up so that I can see, because I know I have. I know I've been in that situation. I just really want to stay in, but you're thinking, oh, yeah, absolutely. There's some hands up there. But you're thinking, this is going to be good for business. I need to go and do this. And that's the thing, isn't it? What you perceive, you will project. And oh, sorry, someone's just asking about the chat option. I've got a chat option on mine. Maybe you haven't got it on yours. Oh, that's a shame. Anyway, because I'm only seeing a little tiny view with the questions. That my chat option's much further down. Sorry, I interrupted myself then. Thank you for asking that question. But there's other times when you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm on top of the world. You've gone out to the event, you've met all the right people, that you've had great connections, love the speakers, everything's gone really well on the night. And that's because of what we're projecting, because what was in with us, we're projecting, and other people can know it and feel it. And it's the same when you're talking about sales and selling. What you are projecting, people will perceive. So if you're not feeling confident and comfortable about it, then they will recognize that as well. And it may be unconsciously, but it will affect the results that you're having. So being very mindful about what you're projecting, because you want to be able to project something really positive. I know at the moment for certain businesses, I've been working with, it's really, really tough. For other businesses, they've just been actually in the right spot at the right time, and they've got the right product, and they're having a bit of a boom time. But how you're portraying yourself on social media, and the things that you're doing in this space, as well as what people pay attention to. So it's really important that you are real. That's important, and if you're having struggles, then that's important to let people know. But you don't want to do it to the level that if it affects that belief within yourself and other people's belief of you. We want people to be real and to talk about it, but to be able to come back from, because we really want to do that. We want to hold the world in our hands, and we want to have that powerful person inside us that feels comfortable about making sales. All right, number 3, tell stories, define your USP, which I'll go into, and stand out from the crowd. Because when you can express your expertise and you can talk about it in a way where people are going to connect with you and recognize you as that expert, then that's going to help you cross the automatic no that comes up with people when you're talking about a product. You probably recognize it, you do it yourself, and to be able to remove that automatic no. When you know that something is really worthwhile, then you'll take a step and say yes instead. And other people are the same, that they're thinking that automatic no as well. But when you can tell stories and people get to know you and understand that you are an expert in your field, then that helps eliminate that automatic no as well when they see benefit in what you're doing. And we can do that by telling stories. Every one of us has a story. Now, I've already told about 3 stories as we've been going through here, just little things, little anecdotes. Some people have big stories. Some people have huge stories that has changed their lives, and you can recognize that, when they're talking about where they were, where they are now, and you can see that they've got the ability to get there. They're important stories. But that used to hold me back a lot, thinking, oh, I don't have any of those big stories. I've been fairly blessed and been successful in what I've done. And then I realized all the little stories along the way, all of the learnings, all of the knocking on doors and meeting people and learning how to, what we're talking about now, sell well, and the anecdotes within that. That's my stories, and that's a lot what's in my book, is all of those small stories about how meeting each situation and tackling it and then achieving a result. So learning how to tell a story definitely builds connection with people, and it's an ability to express your expertise as well. I had a lawyer that I worked with, and she said, oh, I haven't got anything at all. There's just nothing there that she could think of as a story. And I started asking questions. One of the things I love doing is delving into people's lives, and I usually spend a few hours doing that when we're writing people's pitches and stories, is delving down and finding it. Anyway, with Tracy, I found out that one of her clients is having a problem with the bank. So she'd gone with this client to the bank, and it was when, lots of people could go to the bank, and stood there and waited for nearly an hour and solved the problem with the client. And I said, how many lawyers do that? And she just didn't think it was an unusual thing for somebody to do. And I said, that's not an expectation of lawyers. So we figured out how she could tell that story without sounding, because she wasn't comfortable big noting herself, but we found a way to be able to tell that story and to be able to use that in a pitch, 60-second pitch as well. So there's stories in everything. So knowing how to find those stories is incredibly powerful. And that way, you will build that be seen as the expert, and you'll be able to stand out from the crowd. And your USP is by having a story, you can define your unique selling proposition. What makes you different from everyone else? And for Tracy, it was a matter of the way she looked after her clients. She's an extremely good lawyer, but she goes that extra mile with her clients, and that's something that most people do not expect lawyers to do. So what is it that makes you stand out from the crowd? I had one client that was working with Isogenics. So it's a multi-level marketing food thing, if you're not sure what it is, if you haven't come across it before. And she said, I've got nothing at all. And then we were talking a bit longer, and she had something like 7,000 followers on TripAdvisor. Well, first thing I thought, I didn't know you can have followers on TripAdvisor. Apparently you can. And with all the travel stuff, she used to, put little blogs on and respond to people. And so she'd built up this amazing following on TripAdvisor. Now, if you're selling a health product and you've got all these followers on TripAdvisor, she couldn't see the connection with that and how that could be part of her unique story and how to tell that story with these products. So everyone's got a story. It's just a matter of knowing how to go looking for it and how to pull that out and then how to pitch it as well. But you've got a story in you. I guarantee it, even if you don't think you have. But what is it that makes you unique? Different than every other person that's doing what you're doing? It might be your cultural heritage. It might be that, I worked with a lady who does some beautiful baking. It was that her and her grandmother and her aunt would be in the kitchen and create this family loving experience as she was growing up. So there's stories everywhere. I could go on about that for ages. So we want to stand out from the crowd. We definitely want to make yourself unique, and there's a whole lot of different methods within social media. Find something within social media that works for you. I'm across most of the common 4 or 5 and very active on all of them, but it's taken years to get that. Some of it's automated and some of it's just a system process that I do as well, and creating videos and that type of thing. But if you're trying to do it all at once, you're going to spread yourself a little bit thin. Find the best format for you to be on, but get seen as the expert in it. So the posts are something that you shine as an expert in that particular field. It doesn't have to be your blogs. You can share other people's blogs, and as long as you say this is somebody else's blogs, there's so much stuff out there in fields that is probably connected to what you're doing. But be seen as that person that has this information available for people and has that expertise, and you'll find that your following will grow and people will want to connect with you. I do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn because I work with a lot of professionals, and I've got 4,500 followers on LinkedIn, or connections, not followers, connections on LinkedIn. And so I'm constantly on there with my expertise and with highlighting different information or other people's expertise. So figure out how and where you can best stand out. Don't spread yourself too thin, especially if you're not on particular platforms. And you might be surprised what platform works for you as well. There was a book that I read from a guy called Mark Blumsky, and he had some stores in some shoe stores in New Zealand, and he devised this 10 out of 10 program, because he wrote about it in his book. I think his book's called Slippers, and it was about a plumber that came to his house that would take off his boots, put on his slippers whenever he was inside the house, and he had all these. He had a cloth to put underneath his toolbox, and really made a big deal of how he protected the house and respected the home for the people. And so it was a 10 out of 10 experience when anyone hired this plumber. So Mark set that up in his stores and had a 10 out of 10 experience. So his staff got over the feeling of selling anything or upselling or anything like that. They were just aiming for a 10 out of 10 experience every single time for their customers. And what does that look like for you? What can be that 10 out of 10 experience? And there'll be a lot of things that you're doing that everyone else is doing. What can you do that's a little bit different that gives that 10 out of 10 experience? I was online today with the Beenleigh Yatala Chamber of Commerce. I'm on the committee there. One of the groups, they do care for the elderly in their homes, and they have this. They created all these teddy bears, because I know, in Australia at the moment there's a thing where children are going around and trying to spot teddy bears in windows, and so they had all these teddy bears that they supplied to the elderly so that they could just feel this connection. They were doing something with a cardboard coloured teddy in the window. I thought, wow, what an amazing thing. And they had care packages for their elderly as well during this period, and so what a 10 out of 10 experience. And they had other suppliers such as Meals on Wheels and other people coming to them that they would never have normally dealt with, and they were able to supply these teddies to them as well. So finding something that's a little bit different is a great way to give that 10 out of 10 experience. All right, number 4, rapport. We want to create raving fans. I got using some of this time at the moment to go back through clients that have purchased off me, and I'm finding, which I had forgotten, how many times they purchased and how many different products they have, and I realized that they are raving fans. They talk me up all the time, which is just wonderful to have those people in your business and in your life, and figure out why people buy it and overcoming objections. So how can you create raving fans in your business or in what you're doing? And it's people who keep coming back and they talk about you all the time. And if we talked a little bit about NLP before, there's a little bit we'll touch on here now if you have done that before. I'm sure if anyone has done it, and that is on pitching, matching, and mirroring. And they're really simple basic techniques that you can use when you are building rapport with people. And has anyone come across them? If you've come across these with NLP, can you pop your hand up so I know who's done some NLP training in the past? Yeah, I've got a couple of hands up there. Not a lot though. Okay. And so neuro-linguistic programming, it means neuro, the mind, linguistic, the words, and positioning or programming, how you can connect with people at a subconscious level is a simple explanation. And a way to do that is to match or the way they're sitting, the way they're speaking, the body language they're using, and to do it from a place of integrity. And if you don't, you look comical anyway. It just doesn't work. But recognizing that if somebody is leaning back and you're leaning forward, you may be taking up their space and they're not comfortable with it. So if you lean back, it gives them the opportunity to lean forward and feel more comfortable as well. So if you could be matching like these people are or mirroring like these ones are, it's the opposite position. But pacing, matching, and mirroring are great techniques to learn. And pacing is done with the voice, and matching and mirroring is usually done with the body. Or they can mirror words as well and mirror behaviors. The reason I have this guy up here is, and these are things that you can pace and match and mirror when you're coming to the voice. I had one of my great mentors. He was a spiral dynamics teacher, and Roger got remarried again in his 50s, and his new wife's brother was a jackaroo, a cowboy for those people that are not from Australia that are on, and lived way out in the bush, and a real country boy. And he was coming into Melbourne, and so he rang, and Roger answered the phone, and he answered the phone, Roger, I won't say his surname, Roger here, and Liz's brother said, "G'day." So he knew he was coming into town, so he figured that it was the brother-in-law. So Roger's just gone back to him and said, "G'day." And the brother's gone, "Liz there?" And Roger's gone, "No, not now." The brother's gone, "Right, call back later." Anyway, he's called back later. They've had a conversation about 10 words. He's called back later and he's got Liz, and he said, "Geez, that Roger's a good bloke." It doesn't take much, but knowing how to match something to make someone feel comfortable. Now, Roger didn't do it to set up the brother-in-law or anything. He did it to make him feel comfortable. When you've got the skills to be able to step into somebody else's world and make them feel comfortable, then you will be able to build connections really quickly. And people will be able to know, like, and trust you then when you know how to do that. And that's an important skill to learn how to do that. As simple as Roger and his brother-in-law. On the phone, tone is 86% of our communication. And I've got a training course on Friday, and I was just going through it before, and that's what I was on about, was the pitch and the tone of your voice, because that does make a lot of difference. And it does at the moment when we're doing our training on Zoom or any of the online stuff as well, because that's all we've got. We can't use a lot of gestures anymore. We've only got that connection through our voice, and knowing how to communicate using a tone that's going to build connection, yeah, it's a really handy skill to have. And why people buy? Well, sometimes it's just they need the product. Absolutely need the product. I think we saw that recently. People bought toilet paper even though they didn't need it. They thought they did. So they created a need anyway. So that's one reason people buy. The reason I got these boots up here, I traveled to, where did we go? We went to Norway in winter and to see the Northern Lights, and that was 2015. And I had seen some snow boots on sale in our previous winter at Aldi. You know, they have all the crazy stuff. And I didn't really think about it very well, but I thought, why the heck would we need snow boots in Queensland? For those of you that aren't from Queensland that are online, Queensland has subtropical. I mean, our winter doesn't get down during the day under about 20 degrees Celsius. So it's just warm. And I thought, this is crazy. Anyway, the thing is, when you go to Norway in winter, you certainly need snow boots, and my feet froze for the 2 weeks we were there. And I wished I had bought those snow boots. So what I did though is the next winter when I came home, they had the snow boots on sale and I bought them. I have not been back to Norway in winter, but I do have some snow boots. I created my own need for the product, and that's what we often do. The other reason people buy from you is because they trust you. They trust that you're going to provide them with the product that they're investing in, and that they'll get the results that they want. They trust you that you have the knowledge and the expertise. But they see value in your product. And that's an important part when you're in sales. And for me, selling a product that revolves around sales is quite easy, because people have to make sales. And if they're not good at making sales, then they can see value in learning how to do it better. I learnt the other day that Apple stores with their staff, spend 40 minutes every single day training them in sales. And I know most people would spend very little time in their business. They may have learnt to be a great massage therapist, but they have probably not learnt to do any sales training. The people from the Apple store, they also receive training on the products, but they receive 40 minutes training a day on sales. So if you're not doing some form of training, listening to online training courses, do what you're doing tonight. It's fantastic, because even if you don't commit to the product later, because obviously I'm going to show you a product later, but if you don't commit to the product later, then at least hopefully you got enough value out of this to go, well, okay, that's my 60 minutes today, but what are you doing tomorrow to learn to get better at sales? So far this week, I have listened to 3 hours of sales training, and I'm a sales trainer, because every time I do, I learn more, and I want to get better and be at what I do. Always. It's what we do. It makes sense. Okay, features tell, benefits sell. Every time I have listened to pitches, was going to lots of events, and I'd hear people do a 60-second pitch, and all I would hear is about features and not the benefits. The benefits are what's in it for me. Back to that what's in it for me component. We want to be able to talk about the benefits, not the features. These are really good, some power statements if you want to find out more when you're having a conversation. In my online training, I have about 30 of these different questions that you can ask people, and it's things that so you can discover a little bit more, and that way you know and you give them time to answer, then you know how you can help them as well. So this is a great one. Could you tell me more about that? If someone has said, look, I'm not sure about how that's going to fit in the business, or we've been doing something a certain way for a while. Can you tell me more about that? How do you think things have got to this point? So if somebody's struggling with a particular issue and they're not sure what to do, then that's a really good question as well. Some of these questions will feel comfortable with you and some won't. How soon can we meet to discuss the problem, and how can we best respond to it? Sort of two questions there. I'd probably just use one. So how soon can we meet to discuss the problem? You're giving them an opportunity to think about an answer rather than saying, let's meet on a certain date, which will give you a no or yes or no. It's a closed question. So in your business, what can you think about to, what sort of questions can you ask to get a nice open answer where you're going to find out information about people, and then you can find out what's in it for them a lot more. And last part with step 4 is overcoming objections. It's one of the things that we feel most uncomfortable about, and if you're back on that back foot, then you're going to feel like you having to justify things, and rather than being on the front foot and talking about your particular products. And learning how to overcome those objections is a really important factor. There's lots of there's a particular exercise that we do in the training that is about bringing the elephant in the room. There'll be things that you think that bother people that definitely don't, and that's important to know that as well. Is there something do you think you're too expensive? Then you might be bringing that into the room, but that's a whole hour session on just overcoming the elephant in the room. There's one topic that I spend a couple of hours training when I'm doing the live training, and we spend nearly a whole module on it in the online training, is on spiral dynamics. If you've never done that topic before, it's one of the most fascinating topics to be able to identify where somebody's coming from very quickly and knowing how to have the right conversation. If you're dealing with a achievers type personality and they're coming more in from that authoritarian type of this is the rules type of person, you can't have the same conversation. They will not connect and you will miss the mark with them. So learning how to do that, again, I just popped it up there because it's such a great topic. If you can learn how to do that well, then you will overcome a lot of objections, but you'll also be able to have the right conversation in the first place with the right person. So what's keeping your clients up at night? This is what you need to know so that you can address that benefits rather than features. So what are their main problems? I usually have, say, 3 main problems. What is it and how can you help with it? And then you address that with your product. Again, that's a full section on how to do that. All right, last one, kick goals. You want to be able to pitch for success, and again, get the pitches right. You've got a room full of people, and they're so busy thinking about their own pitch, they're not going to hear yours anyway, unless you do something different. And that's just a fact. Embrace the follow-up and take action. So to pitch for success, there are 3 things that you need to do. And the first question is, why this? Why is this? Why is this product that you've got so great? And the second question is, why you? Why are you the right product, the right person to help them with that? And why is it important for them to do it now? 3 very simple questions, and then you'd have a call to action at the end of it. And you'd state your name and your business at the end where people can remember it. And again, I haven't got time to run through how you would word that out, but and that way you don't have to learn a pitch, or you don't have to read a pitch. Never read a pitch. It's your business. You should know what you're talking about, but you won't be the same pitch all the time, because you can, and if you've got multiple products that you got as well, you can deal with each product. each pitch can be a different, each product can be a different pitch using this formula. So why this? Why is this product? What are the benefits here? Really is what you're saying. Why you? Why is your expertise? And why now? You know, the world's changing now and they absolutely need to know how to sell because it's going to be a big boom at the end and people are going to be ready to go. And if you don't know how to have the sales process, you're going to miss out. You see what I mean? That's a why now. Okay, but just follow that pattern. Embrace the follow-up. Who loves following up? I just going to see everyone's hand go up here. I am sure. Yeah, no, not surprised. It's one of those things. Right at the beginning, we talked about the first step was to how to overcome that negativity and about all being about you. And that's where people come back to when they get to the follow-up stage. You go, oh no, I can't do that again. I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to bother the people. And you're going to this, a lot of the sales are made up in the follow-up. This is the important part. You can't miss this part, is to do the follow-up. And there's a whole system that I have that you can use to follow up. Here's a few of the points on that system. Ask permission. So, and if I do that with everyone, so so we've been talking about this now. I know you said that you want to take some time to make a decision. How about I call, we get in touch next Wednesday or Thursday, tell me which works best, and then we can follow up then. If somebody doesn't want to follow up, it doesn't give you permission to follow up, you are probably wasting your time anyway. Most people will, because if you've been able to show the benefits to them enough as well. Agree on a follow-up time, that's important as well. And another point there, I haven't got, it's one of the further points down, but make sure when you do follow up, you follow up exactly on time, that you do what you say. And make your follow-up interesting. I know when people do it on emails, they often will start with just following up, which is what the person reads all the time, and it just goes blank. You do it, I guarantee you will be doing that as well. You can say something like, when we were speaking, I know that you were really keen to kick your business off and get better at selling, or get your reps on board with and learn some new tips with sales. So that makes something a little bit more interesting because you've told them about what they told you as well. And that's an important way to follow up well. I am going to run through the story really quickly. We bought some solar. It's about 10 years ago now, and it was expensive then, a lot more expensive than it is now. And we got 3 companies in, 3 sales reps came in after hours. They spent ages measuring up, giving us the quotes. They're all pretty similar. They're all same amount of panels. We researched them a bit and they all looked the same. And $10,000 sale, 1 company followed up, only 1. So you can know who got the sale, the company that cared. So if you're not following up, it means you don't care. And then back to that ego thing again. So make sure that you follow up, because you are leaving money on the table if you don't follow up. Because 44% of salespeople give up after 1 follow-up call. The average salesperson only makes 2 attempts. So if you can see yourself on either one of those, they make 1 or 2 attempts, or I hope at least you make 1 or 2, not just let it go. 80% of sales require 5 follow-up phone calls. And it seems like a lot, it seems like harassment, but it's depending on what decision they're making. It sometimes takes that long for people. I know when I was in the GM role, they were bigger purchasing decisions. They were, hundreds of thousands of dollars purchasing decisions. And so they'd take longer to make. And some of them I took 12 months of following up. And it was just okay, how about I give you a call at the same time next month, and they'd say fine. And eventually we got the sales. But if I had have been let it go and was the person not in front of them every single month, and then somebody else would have got the sale, I guarantee you. They would have forgotten about me. And that's what happens. And I bet you've had it happen to you where you've gone, how come they've gone to somebody else? I don't know. I was having the conversation with them. Yes, it happens all the time. I had some of my reps that would do the same. They've said that company, they buy everything off me, but they went and got this thing from someone else. I said, did you ever tell them that you sold that as well? No, I just thought they'd know. Okay, and taking action. The distance between dreams And reality is called action. And this is where it comes to with, things like doing training, things like, guys, you're getting on here tonight. Awesome. There's great shows on Netflix. You could have been doing that instead, but you weren't. You were here doing this, and you've stayed nearly right to the end. Oh, I forgot to say, everyone who stays to the end, I will send you an electronic copy of my book as well. So, which is saves you buying it. But so anyway, you stay to the end, I'll give you that for free. That's my little bonus. And that's, again, taking action. I had a thing recently where I was at some training, and the person had a book that he said, if you buy this book, I guarantee that if for $10, I guarantee that you will increase your investment by 10 times. If you get this book, I guarantee you. And it was an investment book, and it was $10. I didn't care. And I just went, oh yeah, sounds like a good idea. So I bought it for $10, and I was the only one that took action. The only person in the room that got up, gave him the $10 for the book. I got back to my desk, sat down, and there was a $100 note in the front of the book. That's how we could guarantee the 10 times. So here am I going, oh my gosh, $100 note, because I'd taken action. And that, to me, was my biggest lesson, either going, it's very cool. I'm not going to sit there anymore and sit on my hands. We think we have plenty of time to do something, and there's always something that's more important than what we're doing. But I love this picture of the clock, because eventually we get to the stage where we know that we have to take action on something, and we have to do it. So whatever it is in your life that you know you need to take action on, then just be aware that time is passing. And if you are in some of those businesses where are a bit quieter at the moment, this is the perfect time to be doing some learning, and the perfect opportunity with time to be able to take that up as well. I know that's what I'm investing in at the moment, is lots and lots of learning. Oh gosh, so I hope you've got a lot out of that. We stepped out of our confinement of anxiety, had some personal power, learn how to be the expert in the room, attract and engage by standing out from everyone else, and kick some goals. So good. Did you get heaps of information on there? I hope you don't mind. I know I've talked about online training program. I would love to have permission to show that through to you now. And I just want to ask, what are you going to do you going to apply immediately from what we've just learnt now? So have a think about that for yourself as well, as to what are you going to do immediately, and what are you going to do to feel more comfortable about asking for the sale. So that's a couple of questions, even if it's just from the learning that you've done now. The online training program is the Direct Sales Mastery program, and it is step by step, and it's instruction. And the beautiful part of being, I've had this online training program running for about 3 years now, and everyone's racing in to do online training programs, and it's so very cool because it's been there and I know it works, and I've had lots of amazing feedback from people. And it's a way that you can move quicker into what you're doing. And if you've got time to do it now, you can really get onto it very quickly. A little bit about the program: there are 7 modules. Each one of them is worth, I've got people buying them individually. I don't know why, but they do. And they're each worth $297. So we start off with the basics. Like I said, we need to get that real confident selling mindset, but a whole lot of techniques on how to stand out from the crowd and create that formula that's going to make you the person that people will want to come to, that you build those raving fans. You get a brand that everyone's going to trust and know, and then you're going to learn the system of follow-up. We're going to cover spiral dynamics. We're going to cover how to pitch, all of those things that I've covered throughout this, but in detail. And so you get them as videos, and you also get a playbook to work through, so you can adapt it to your own business. But that is not all. You get full support from me. So you get 3 one-hour sessions. Now those sessions are priced out at $297. I'm working with someone tomorrow who's spending $697 to work with me for 3 hours, and they're not on the program, so they're doing something completely different. And you can email me anytime as well for 12 months, and that's valued at $13.91. And so you get 7 modules. You get the 3-hour sessions with me. You get the 12 months access, and the total cost of that, because I added it up on the calculator, is that much. Valerie is one of the ladies that I've worked with as well. Some of you probably do know Valerie. She hates selling, always hated selling, doesn't want to do anything with selling. And she's now got this beautiful successful business because she realized it's not selling. It was just doing the right thing by clients and knowing how to be that expert that they'll come to. That's the important factor. And again, Jan and Ray, they got to Vegas. I was so excited and sent me a ton of information and photos when they got there. And if you've already made up your mind, I will show you there's some extra bonuses here. This is where I said the book anyway, but I will send you a hard copy if you're in Australia. I'll post a hard copy to you anywhere in Australia. And if you haven't got one, but if you're staying online and you're not purchasing, then I'll send you a soft copy. Anyway, the 3 months mentoring subscription program, that is $97 a week, and you get that for free for 3 months. And the other bonus is that you get the master workbook and the action plan. Action plan is really cool. It gives you step by step about what you're going to do to implement everything that you learn on the program and how you're going to do that. And I had someone the other day say they've been doing training for years and they've never seen anything that was as simple as that and that they could apply. So that all adds up to that. $4,231 worth of, if you're buying everything separately. Oh, look at that. You get 4 months unlimited email access. You don't. You get 12 months. I'll change that up a bit. Okay. Yeah, 12 months. All right. And you know you're not going to pay that much. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on training, and I've gone to big companies. I've gone and spent week-long programs. Years ago, I went to a week-long program in Sydney. I've got knocked on door to door. I have learned how to do it, and I started businesses from zero and made big sales because I learned how to do it. And so you are going to be ridiculously surprised at how much. You won't have to pay thousands of dollars because there's no comparison. Yeah, not going to pay that much. If you add all that up, and it comes to $4,231, the whole program, all of that time with me, everything, you only pay $497 for the whole lot. And that's to go to that. You can pay, that'll come up automatically as a PayPal thing. But I do want to offer you something else, because this is what usually has the people going, really? That's what I want to do. They want to spend a day with me. And we can either wait until we can be all in the same room together, or I can do it as an online group thing, whatever works for you. I've got one coming up in July and one in November, and both of them are half full as well. And hopefully, fingers crossed, they're both live. But it is $697. If you go onto Eventbrite and look for this course, it is $697. You get that for absolutely free. You spend a whole day with me. I have only 10 people in the room, and that is part of that particular bonus for you for everything. Risk-free trial. If you don't like it, it's fine. I'll credit, not a problem. Haven't had to do that yet, but that's not a problem at all. So you get everything, and particularly, as I said, this is what most people go, okay, I want the day training. I can do the online course now because I've got plenty of time and I can really apply it and get stuck into it. I had one client that went through all of the program in 7 weeks. She did every single module. So the modules are as I said, a video training and a playbook as well. And I guarantee they're going to challenge you. There's things in it that you will go, I am not comfortable doing this. So please be aware that when I start talking about your value systems and belief systems, they will challenge you. But if you don't do it that way, if you just go and learn how to have a sales conversation, you won't do it in a couple of weeks' time. You will not be comfortable with it. You want to get comfortable with it. So that's why the modules are set out in that particular way, because I know what works. I know I've been working with hundreds of clients over the last 15 years, and I know what works in that step-by-step process. And so again, that's how it's set out. That's what is available. And this is available for the next 15 minutes. And if anyone's got any more questions throughout that, so the link is that directsalesmastery.net. And if you go to that link, you can purchase that straight away. And I'll send you all the modules from tomorrow. You'll have absolutely everything there for you to work on right from tomorrow. So if you've been thinking, you know what, I think things are really a bit tough. I'm not comfortable in asking people for sales at the moment because I know people are doing it tough. If you're thinking that it's one of those things that I know I have to learn, but I just don't know where to start, then this is absolutely the best way to start for you. And at that price, you are going to be amazed at the amount of value. So at least, even the time on the hour workshops with me, it's the hour-long Zoom calls, private personal calls. They're not group ones. That's you and me. We're going to spend an hour and you can ask me questions and I'll be able to, hopefully, usually can, supply the answers to the struggles that you're having and how you're going about those as well. So if you think that that's something that you can find value in, then please, this is the opportunity now if you've got time to do it, and you can invest that in your training, because you can invest in everything else, but if you can't make a sale, you don't have a business. It's one of those things, isn't it? I'm doing the professional speaking training on Friday, and I've got wonderful people booked in for that, and that's a great asset to have, but it's not a do or die of a business. Sales are the do or die in your business, so you need to get good at it, and you won't find this price anywhere else. I only offer the extra day with me when I run this on here. I don't offer that. You can go online and you can look at on my website, you can look at what you can buy for this same price with all this, but not the day with me. This is only available if you get that here now. And so if you want to take action on that, then please do. We've got about another 5 minutes, and it is the first 10, and I've had a few people come through. Cool. Great. I'm just so excited that you're going to be able to take that up and enjoy that, and help you with what you're going to, how you're going to improve those sales and launch a business as well. Because we get out of this, we get back to better. Knowing how to authentically build relationships, stand out as an expert, and have the sales conversations, especially through learning the spiral dynamics part of it, you are going to stand out. I know when I did the spiral dynamics training, I spent over $5,000 on that training, and that's, well, 12, 14, 15 years ago. It's probably one of the most beneficial trainings that I've done in sales, in how to understand having the right conversation with. And I go through all of the different steps and all the different types of personality types with that, so that you know how each person is going to make. How to get past the gatekeeper is a great one, because I think that we all come across those gatekeepers and just don't struggle to get through. And then once you do, how do you pitch it to the right person and have the right conversation with that right person as well? And I mean, sometimes you can do, if you do something like that, often one sale is going to pay for you $497, which is usually what happens with a lot of the training, is this sort of training, isn't it? You make one more sale and your whole business, you've paid for it, and then you're going to get the value of it for the rest of your business life, is to get the value, because this information hasn't changed. There's different new social media, there's a whole lot of new ideas and concepts and things about how we get our message across, but the message we get hasn't changed. It's all about building relationships and how to do it and stand out as the expert. So it's been wonderful having you all on. I've got a list of everyone that's there and has stayed to the end, so I'll download that list and I will send you out a electronic copy of. For those that have bought in the program, of course, you're going to get a hard copy of my book if you're in Australia. And everyone else, I hope if you didn't join up the 497, I trust you've found some value in what I've talked about for the last hour and a half, that you're going to apply it to your business. Please make sure that you do apply it for your business. And if for some reason you think, I've thought about it and I realize, yes, I do want to take it up, then you've got till tomorrow night at close of business to do so. But that's all. I don't hold it open to any of that, because everyone who's come on board and taken the steps now to purchase has done that in good faith. So but the longer you think about it, it's often one of those things, isn't it? You second guess yourself and that automatic no comes up and you're going, oh no, I could be doing something else with it. And the thing is, if this could help you make one more sale, then you've paid for it. So that's been great. I've had a great night, and I thank you all for taking the time to be on with me tonight. And what's the word? I've been talking a lot. I will sign off now, and I thank you for your time and your participation. And I really look forward for those that have joined, working with you and getting to know you well as well through that process. If you can use any more sales in your business, then you will not go wrong doing this. All right. Lovely having you there. Have a fabulous Wednesday night, and we'll see you again soon online.